Yo,
Yo, what up?
you made it.
Yeah, it wasn't letting me sign in for some reason. It's good.
How you, man?
Just chilling at work. So here,
Right. Just gonna pin the history.
people gotta know the truth.
History of the rock.
Yep.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this picture, bro. What's wrong
He
with
don't even look like he don't even look like he's rocking, yo. And
what is wrong
and
with
and
this
and,
picture?
and who dresses like that? He look like MC
MC Hammer
Hammer.
pants?
Yeah. Those are boomerang pants.
Oh my god, bro. He looks like a backup dancer for MC Hammer.
No, bro. This guy.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy, bro. Have you seen it? Have you seen the video?
Yeah, I laughed at it. It don't it don't make no sense.
Yeah.
This guy
We,
don't
we
make no
about to
sense.
laugh. We about to laugh some more.
Yo, I also seen a video of Charlie. Not. I've seen the video where he says the same shit too. So
Yeah. Charlie Rock. We'll get into it. So
he
I
says
just,
in the
we're just
video.
gonna, we're just gonna push play and see what it says.
Answers to suggest
Okay.
that they are the
Oh my gosh, this is
all right. What's
Rock
up? Gotta
comes from FBA culture.
be to the culture.
What the
Gotta do
hell
what
is
I got to do.
FBA?
All right. So as you can tell by the title, it's up rocking and rocking. Now this became a
FBA is Foundational Black Americans.
A what?
That's it. Foundational Black Americans. That's the title there.
Foundational.
They've created.
Doesn't the word foundational mean you're like your whole race is born here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the case. The only foundational people here are Native Americans and the natives to the Americas. And it's
Right.
not even called America, man. They named it America. We don't even know the real name of this land.
Right. So, Foundational Black Americans is like, and it's like an association. I don't know too much about it, but I just know that it's kind of like it reminds me of like a hip hop race cult.
Yeah, sounds like it.
You know, it's like these guys only see the world through the lens of race. You know, and it's like a cult, and the FBA Foundation, Foundational Black American
Yeah, that's terrible.
Association or whatever. You know, it reminds me of, you know, the back in the days with the, you know, the black Muslims, you know what I'm saying? The Nation of Islam and the Five Percenters, and how they have like a doctrine. They're like indoctrinated with race.
Hmm.
That's almost like the FBA is trying to do. They, it seems to me, they don't care about hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? They care
They don't care about hip
about
hop culture.
what all they care about is race.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They just care that blacks created it, and that's it. That's all they care about.
What is race?
Right. Right.
What is race? Who named race
Race
race?
is a construct, a social construct.
Yeah, but who named it? Who said this is race? You're black. You're white. You're Asian. God didn't name it like that.
Right.
He
Right.
named us humans.
So exactly. We all brothers and sisters. We got the same parents, Adam and Eve. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You got lighter people and darker people. But we're all the same people.
we all have different pigments, man. It's like these people. I don't think they took science class or like paid attention in science school. Like you know what
You
I
know
mean, in
what it
high
is?
school
It's
for
just
science and
it's
stuff
like
like
an
that. The basics.
indoctrination. It's like an indoctrination. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna see it the way they see it, and that's it. But we're just gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
So let's just hear what they have
yeah.
to say.
It's here.
Because alone for at least 6 or 7 months has been promoting this idea that Puerto Ricans in '69 came up with the rock dance. And he went as far as to suggest that they are the precursors to break dancing or to breaking or to b-boy culture.
All right. First of all, what is he talking about?
I have no idea.
Like,
I mean,
he's trying to
rock
say
was
that,
first.
right? He's trying to say that Puerto Ricans didn't create the rock dance.
Yo, like I Ringo made a post about this, and I said it earlier. I said they're backed up in the corner. They're backed up in the corner so hard that they're reaching now for whatever
Yeah,
they can grab. They're reaching. They backed up so
they
hard. All the information has
they
been.
they created rock dance. They created break dance. They created hip hop. They created salsa. They created
Everything.
all. They created all everything. They created everything, and I think here's the major problem. Here's the problem, Cooks. They don't understand the difference between being influenced and taking the credit for creating it. See what I'm saying? They confusing the two because just because something is influenced by something else doesn't mean that it created it by itself. That doesn't even make no sense.
It's
There's
it's
it's a word called assimilation, right? Assimilation. Assimilation is inevitable and it's undeniable.
yep.
Whenever whenever you have immigrants coming to a new country, right? The blacks assimilated with whites when they came. The Africans, when they came to Puerto Rico, they assimilated with the natives.
Yes. And
The Puerto Ricans assimilated with Americans when they came.
yep. They
You know,
the thing is, yo, history it says it all. Like they try to make the Indians the slaves and they couldn't do it. They rather die as warriors. You see what I mean?
right, right,
So they got it where they can get it from. You know what I mean? And they brought them to the States to work the land for them because it didn't work out. The
yeah,
original plan didn't work out. Same thing happened in Mexico with the Spaniards and the French. Their plan didn't work. You couldn't put the Aztecs to be your workers. You couldn't put the Mayas to be. The Mayas weren't even around. It was disappeared.
right.
So like when it comes to cultures and all this stuff, I mean, real is real. We like Latinos culture. We created the number zero. We read the stars first. We made the first calendar
Well,
that everybody uses till this day.
yeah. I mean, and you look at the history of Puerto Rican music. I mean, in the 50s, the mambo was a mix. It was assimilation. It was a mix. Not one person created it, the other person. It was influence with the rhythms of the island and jazz of the time, and created mambo.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And that's
it, it,
undeniable, and it's inevitable to happen. Anytime
and
you
it was.
have
Yep.
two people groups merging together.
and it was
You know
created
what
in
I'm
the
saying?
Bronx. It was
Right.
created in the Bronx, and it was created by the sons of the migrant workers that went there, and they went to work hard, and the children, and that's how that was created. The people from Puerto Rico came with the instruments, and they played like they brought instruments that they weren't even using in New York. First of all,
Right. Right.
you mean
So,
they brought rhythms
right.
that wasn't played in New York, even though they're African inspired, you know what I mean, but from Puerto Rico, not from USA.
Right.
So we're talking about USA. So when
Yeah. It's
we're
just the
not talking about Puerto
evolution.
Rico. Yeah,
Yeah. It's just the evolution of culture. This is how
exactly.
cultures evolve. They assimilate with other cultures, and it creates something new. And that's what happened. You have the New Yorican, which is the American person of Puerto Rican descent, you know what I'm saying? With the American lifestyle. Of
Exactly.
course, they're going to incorporate other cultures because that's their life, that's their experience. That was their experience, you know?
Yep.
So it's natural, you know, it's just that's what it is. To say that one race of people created this and the other race of people did it, it's too black and white. It's an oversimplification of history, and it's an injustice to history because there's so many nuances and complex,
Yes.
interesting, amazing history, you know, and just to say, oh, you know, we influenced it, so that therefore we created it. We influenced that, so we created it. We influenced that. It's a entitlement.
Yeah,
It's an entitlement. That's what it is.
his whole thing was that since they were influenced, right, by James Brown and by all these other bands, right, that
Mm-hmm.
it's black culture music. Therefore, any dance that's created in black culture music is black culture. Now,
Right.
now, when it comes to music and culture, right, it is black culture music, but it's also American culture music.
Right. Right.
So
Pop
it's the
culture.
music of the United States. It's what was going on at the time, and
And it's a mixture.
everywhere.
Let's take
Yeah,
you take jazz. You take just jazz for example. You know, jazz comes from the Black American culture community, but you know they didn't come. The slaves didn't come out with jazz. You know what I'm saying? It was the African Americans, Black Americans. They assimilated with white culture, European culture,
exactly.
and they added their own flavor to
Their
it. You know,
own
and they
flavor.
created something new. And that's
Exactly.
how culture evolves. You know, they didn't come from Africa playing jazz. They had
They
to learn
didn't come from
that
Africa.
here,
Yeah, they didn't come from Africa playing the
and
saxophone.
then they
Saxophone
created
don't
jazz,
exist.
right?
Yeah,
That's
it don't
how
exist over there.
cultures work. So
Exactly.
you, you had you know, the mambo, and then you had the boogaloo,
The boogaloo.
which is the boogaloo is the precursor to the rock dance.
Yes, it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And Puerto Ricans have been assimilated with the blacks and whites and everybody else since the 50s. You know what I'm saying? The major sound of the time was the doo-wop, and they blended that with their traditional Latin
Yeah.
music. And it
So
was an expression of the teenagers from New York who
yes.
had Puerto Rican heritage. What else
So
do you
even
expect?
yep. Yo, even breaking down the boogaloo, right? The boogaloo is Latin music with American lyrics. Latin
Hmm.
music with American lyrics, which was danced by Africans and Latinos together in the streets.
Right.
And the band that
Yeah.
played bands had both. Because if you break it down, right, the first band to bring Plage or the what's that music called, Plage? The first the first music that came before mumble. I think it's called Plage or
Um,
something like that. Starts with a P. Well,
I
the
mean,
first
there's a lot of
it's the music
traditional.
that comes from like santeros and stuff, right? From Puerto
Uh-huh.
Rico. So that music came first, right?
Atlanta.
That music was influenced by mumble. Mumble became the boogaloo.
Yeah.
The Boogaloo
Okay.
had both races, right? It was it was a it was a joining of races. It was going to be something
Yeah.
really strong. They destroyed it and they made salsa.
Yeah.
After salsa
Right.
came what hustle,
The rock and
hustle, and the rock.
the disco. Yeah. The
Yeah, the
disco.
disco era. Right after salsa came the disco era.
Yeah.
In between salsa, in between the Boogaloo and salsa and all that came the rock.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? We're
So
not sure. I mean, we're just
let,
we're just guessing with music timeline. We're using a music timeline. We're not using like John said this and Timothy said this. No, we're using a actual music timeline. How music was played at the time. You know what I mean?
let's keep watching it. Let's keep checking this out. We only got we're only
put that on.
40 seconds in.
Now, I find it ironic that he would say that because for the longest period of time, he would say people like Sasa and Trixie are not B-boys. Matter of fact, he would even go as far as to say they're not even the precursor. But because he found out, erroneously, I might add, that these Puerto Rican rockers were doing their thing in '69, he decided to call them the precursors. Ironically, they don't go to the floor. But if you know anything about Cologne, he talks about B-boy culture or B-boying, he talks about floor work, staying on the floor, going to the floor. Now, I find it ironic when we talk about the brothers who were going to the floor in the 30s and 40s and 60s, he won't give credit to those guys. And it's obvious as to why. They're black.
Oh my God.
There's black Puerto Ricans. There's black Mexicans.
You
There's black
know what the
Latinos.
problem? You know what the problem is? What he said. He's
Yeah, he's making it
trying to
racist
say,
right off the bat.
yeah, he's assuming that it's about race. You know what I'm saying? That because we don't include, you know, jazz tap dancers from the 40s and 30s. We don't include them as B-boys, right? Because they're black.
Well, but Doug and them are not tap dancers. If he had his
No,
history, he would have
he's
talked
talking about the
about
tap.
Sammy.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't know.
he's talking about from the 30s
Yeah,
that we don't
you don't even know
acknowledge
names.
them as B-boys because they're black.
Yeah, but he didn't mention no names because he don't know names. He could have said Sammy Davis Jr. He could have said the Nicholas
It
twins.
doesn't
He could have talked
matter.
about, you know.
It don't
He's
matter because
just reaching.
the fact of the matter is the reason why we don't include them is because they're not B-boys. They're tap dancers. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I mean, it's obvious that these people are not from the culture because they don't understand that this music creates this dance,
Exactly.
not the dance that creates the music. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's not the dance that creates the music; it's the music that creates the dance. Look at break dancing. You're dancing to break beats. That's why it's called breaking. The rock dance is called rock because you're dancing to funk rock. It's a funky rock genre that was new that came out, and they called it rock dancing because it was rock music.
Mm-hmm.
The house dancing. House dancing is comes from house music.
Yep.
It's called house dancing because of the music.
Exactly.
Tap dancing, jazz dancing is jazz dancing because of the music is done to as jazz. So the dance comes first, then the song, the music comes first, then the dance. Like the social dances.
The social dances.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, social dances. But I think he's going to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that it's not that. And here's that seeing everything through race. They want to see everything. The reason why we don't count them as non-B-boys because they're black has nothing to do with that. It has the fact that it's not in the hip hop context.
Yep.
So therefore, it has similar moves, but it's not the same dance. Basically, because it was not done to the same music.
Yes.
So therefore, it's a different context. It's a
Yep.
different culture. So they definitely took moves from there, but that's all they did was take moves, and then they made it their own dance, which is the b-boy breakdance.
And then they create, like, what's the main thing in rock is the jerk, right? Like, and nowadays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the jerk, right? Where do you see them jerk? Ever.
And what are you talking about?
Like, they say they created rock. To create rock, you had to create the jerk. They don't jerk.
Oh,
They don't jerk.
yeah. Well,
That's
I don't think that
that's a
they
unique
actually
thing.
saying. I don't think that they're actually saying that blacks did the rock dance. They're just saying, from what
Because
I
of
can
music.
tell, that because of the music, that's black inspired and probably blacks created it, which makes no sense because for one, where's any black person saying that they? I mean, don't get me wrong. There were black people in the rock dance, obviously.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But it was just dominated by black Latino.
Yeah. What he's doing is he's getting people's stories that grew up in black neighborhoods, and they're telling their story of how they like Frank Rojas, right? He's telling his
Mm-hmm.
story, and he's saying his story is our story. It's not our story. It's his specific story. If he grew
Right.
up in black neighborhoods and that's what he's seen, that's what he's seen. Even when he was dancing, there was mad people dancing with him that didn't grow up in those same neighborhoods. You know what I mean? It's what he's seen. It's not
Right.
everybody's
And
history.
right. And that's another thing too, because it's like with this whole race, this race only view, only looking at race, seeing the world through filters of race. You make everything about race. It's like it's it's toxic, you know what I'm saying? It's like obsessive. I feel like it's obsessive, you know what I'm saying? And it just it it creates divide. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Division.
It's hip hop. Here's the thing. Hip hop is it's not about race. Hip hop is not about race. It's about skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a pass in hip hop culture because you're race.
He said they're
You
Asian.
get a pass. You get a pass because of your skills,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, it's like to say that the blacks created breaking, right? To say blacks created breaking is to say that in their theology, right? In their ideology, because blacks created breaking, therefore, if you're black, you're hip hop.
No.
Because it's black culture.
It's
You know
hip
what I'm
hop
saying?
culture.
Right. Definitely be the early go off in the b-boy scene, that was dominated by blacks. No question. But it's not all black people in general that get the credit. It's the dancers that were there that did what they did and they harnessed their skills.
So
They
this guy.
get the credit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They get the credit.
So let me answer this thing. Breaking was before hip hop, by the way. Hip hop came after. When they named hip hop, breaking already existed. So it's just an element to answer
Right.
this guy what he's saying, you know?
Yeah. But anyways, let's keep watching. Let's see if we can get through. I don't know if we can even get through this.
It's just
As long
it's
as they're
like
Puerto Rican, he's going to give credit to the Puerto Rican. In the very same way that track 2, in a video that he did, or at least an audio from the video he did, where he said, he was talking about salsa, talking about him as if he thought he was Puerto Rican. Crazy salsa. As being some kind of, pioneer of b-boy. And he only did that because he thought he was Puerto Rican. So this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a group of people.
You hear what he said?
Yeah. He said
I don't know.
they're gonna give them credit. It's like he really sounds super salty, bro, about everything. His words, like, if you just listen to his words, you hear, like, you ever hear a kid complain? Like, he gonna tell him this. He's like salty.
I don't know if you saw that track 2 clip, but I seen the track 2 clip, and track 2 was mistaken because at the time it's an old clip, and it was Sasa. People were saying the name Sasa, but there was also a salsa that was a rocker that rocked with Rubber Band, the legendary, the most legendary of all up rockers, or not rockers, not up rockers, rockers, right? Because rock and up rock is not exactly the same thing. No. But the best, known to be the best, one of the best up rockers of all time, Rubber Band, his partner Salsa used to dance with him, and they used to go to the Hiblo. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so he was confused of who Sasa. Nobody knew, because if you weren't there, Sasa hadn't came out with no interviews, hadn't showed his face, hadn't given a story. So we're just assuming and putting, stories together, thinking that Salsa is Sasa. But come to find out, they're two different people. So that was his mistake. But it wasn't because, he's Puerto Rican, so I'm gonna praise him, and because he's not Puerto Rican, he's nobody now. See what I'm saying? See how he twisted it? They tried to twist it.
They always
we're going to praise Puerto Rican contributions and deny Black contributions. And so this video is going to deal with this issue of rocking and where it comes from. I contend that it comes from Black culture. I'm sure Cologne disagrees. Let me ask you this question, those who believe as Cologne does. If it comes from Black culture, why is it when every time you see these Puerto Rican rockers dancing, they're dancing to foundational Black music? If this was something coming from...
You heard what he said?
Yeah, the foundation. First of all, they dance to what? Apache, right? So Apache was created in a studio. A studio. It wasn't created, no band. Yeah. Apache was created in studio by different the guitar player from the Doors. Yo.
Yeah.
How was that what he's talking about? That's studio music. That Apache that was it was for a movie.
Yeah. The Bongo Rock. But look,
dance to it. That's those are for movies. It was created because of it was during the Shaft era and all that stuff, right? Where it was all about the sound.
I mean, it's called Apache, the Incredible Bongo
Band.
Rock.
Exactly.
Incredible Bongo Band. Apache Bongo Rock. This was the anthem. What about what about the Mexican? Does that sound like a? Does that sound like a FBA?
Nope.
The Mexican. The thing is that they were rocking to funk rock. It was a fusion of funk music and rock music. So
yes,
the first person to fuse the funk and the rock together, you know who it was? You know
Cool.
the you know who the first person to fuse funk and rock together?
Who was it? I'm curious. I'm listening.
Sly and the Family Stone.
Yep. Sly has a lot of dope.
And you know what the genius about it was? As far as I'm concerned, he's the father of funk because he's the first one to come out with the funk rock sound. The mix, the psychedelic rock, and put a syncopated beat to it, right? That fusion, and he had white people in his group. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
all black.
Nope, it wasn't an all black band.
Right.
Yo, James Brown was like James Brown had like an all black band,
Mm-hmm.
but also like you said, Sly didn't, and there's many other groups. Some of the songs that we dance to, we don't even know they're all white bands.
Yeah, average white band. What about the Mexican? It's a rock track. You know
And
what I'm saying?
so for them to say
It
they
was
didn't
an
have
eclectic fusion. It was eclectic fusion. The playlist, the I call it the magical playlist. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It was
Yo,
it was
yep.
a mixture of a lot of different things to create this one funk rock
So
sound.
when we're talking about that rock, right? We're talking about up rock. Because when we talk about rock, like the outlaw rock, they rock to heavy metal.
Well, here's the thing. Exactly. Right? Led
Hey,
Zeppelin.
yes,
Even the Black
outlaws.
Spade was dancing to Led Zeppelin.
Exactly. Now you
But here's the
cannot
thing.
say that that's a rock band.
We gotta get the terminology straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have the outlaw rock, right? Which is called burning.
Burning.
That's a burning style, the outlaw rock, right? Then you have the freestyle rock, which is the original rock dance.
The rock
The
dance, yes.
freestyle rock
Dance, the
is
dance part.
that's when the term rock dance, what we call now freestyle. Originally, it was called rock,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then you have the go off.
Go off.
So that's three different styles. The go off. You know
Yo,
what
and another
I'm
thing.
saying?
Yo, Vix. B-boying was only 3 steps in the drop. So how do you get 3 steps in the drop from a whole rock dance? 3 steps in the drop. Asking Nez says it. 3 steps
Well, that's the
in the
thing.
drop.
Here's the major difference between the rock dance, the original rock dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we call freestyle rock, the original rock dance, and the 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 go off and the outlaw rock, right? The difference is the rock dance had actual foundation to it. The
Yep.
go off, there was no foundation. The go off didn't have a foundation to it. The
No, you just go off.
rock dance created its own foundation.
Exactly.
You know, that's why the burning faded out. The burning faded out like the go off faded out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just an idea of going off and doing your own thing to the break part, right?
Yep.
It wasn't until they hit the floor that they started building the foundation to it.
Exactly.
But the rock dance was building a foundation from the get, and that's why it survived all the way up until this day.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was actually a foundation to it. It's not just a fad dance. You know what I'm saying? Because he'll talk about on the video that, blacks will, they created all kinds of dances, and they created the rock dance, they created the break dance, and then they moved to another fad. But a fad, like a social dance, like the Good Foot, it has a couple steps to that song, and that's it. That's why it doesn't last. The rock dance was an actual art form
Mm-hmm.
because it had a whole foundation, and it had a whole genre of music
No problem.
to it. Not just one song. It had a whole playlist to it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
What fad, yo, and what fad, they never say what fad did they go into? I want to know. He said they
What?
went into a whole different fad. He said they left rock, right? And they
Oh,
went
he'll
into
talk.
something else.
He's gonna talk. Well, he'll talk about it. But what was I gonna say? Yeah. Well, I forget what I was gonna say. But anyways, we'll just keep watching.
For the Puerto Rican community, they would be dancing to a Latin rhythm. But for some reason, they chose foundational Black American music to express themselves. All right.
Again,
Foundational.
that was just culture. That was just the culture
The
of the
music
Puerto
wasn't
Rican
foundational.
Liberians at the time. That was like my mom's generation.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yo,
saying? She was a New York Puerto Rican, and her experience was the American
mm-hmm.
urban experience. So obviously, black music is going to be influenced.
But he's saying, like, listen to his words. He's saying they're dancing to foundational. It wasn't foundational yet. It just came out. How can it be foundational if it just came out? It was new music. You can't get foundational when the music has just came out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he's wrong there too. No foundation in new music.
Yeah.
I believe is the source of Cologne's confusion, and we're going to clear some things up. All right, let me say for the record, I'm not sure if this is where particular article he got it from is something I found online called Vice, but these are the words from the article, and I'm going to read a little bit of it. This is according to what supposedly Charlie Rock said about the rocking pioneers. Some say hip-hop begins with the DJs, but actually hip-hop culture itself begins with the b-boy. We're the X Factor, say first-generation b-boy Charlie Rock, a.k.a. Anthony Horn. He traces breaking back to the 60s when Latinos across New York started rocking or up-rocking, setting a mambo-inspired moves to the latest rock and soul hits. Rocking was inspired by battle dances. Let me see if I can move this up.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly what he said. It was mambo steps, boogaloo steps,
but he's
right?
saying that Charlie's wrong.
Dance steps. It was all of these steps all together to funk and soul and rock music.
Mm-hmm. So Charlie says,
that's what it was.
In Charlie's interview, he says that he was actually one of the guys that went out to Brooklyn, and he went to Harlem, and he went to the disco clubs, and he danced disco. He danced the hustle. So what he's saying is facts, because he went to Brooklyn and he seen the rock, which is Up Rock was in the clubs. So the rock was never in the clubs. Up Rock was in the club. You know what I mean?
Right.
The rock was in the street. The rock is like the more like, rugged, like
burning.
Burn you, you lose your shirt.
We gotta get the terms right. Because look, check it out. You got the burning, the outlaw burning, right? You got the go-off burning, which is two different styles of burning. Two different ways to dance.
Yes.
Then you got the rock dance, right? Which original rock dance we call freestyle rock. Then you got up rock, which come later.
Later.
Up rock comes out when floor rocking comes out.
Yeah.
So that's different style than the original rock dance and the outlaw burning. The up rock is what King Up Rock, Dynasty, from the mid to late 70s in Brooklyn, he created the up rock.
Yo, I want to say say something too because I'd have to say it. I don't know why because 774 said that Rock did not come from the Outlaws. He's tripping. Uprock did not
I
come from
think,
the Outlaws. Rock came from the. While Burning, he's tripping. I just want to say he's tripping. That's it.
yeah, no,
We can move on.
I think what he was trying to say got misconstrued.
Yeah.
I think what he was trying to say was that the Outlaws, from his experience, didn't create the Apache line rocking.
And you know what
That's what he was
from his
saying.
experience.
He was saying, yeah, he never saw the Outlaws rocking in Apache lines. They did real Apache lines, but he never saw them rocking the. So that aspect of it doesn't really come from them.
So
That's what he was trying to say.
it's funny because what he says, right, and what like Danny Boy says, you know what I mean? Danny Boy says he's seen the Outlaws in the Apache line rocking.
Well, yeah, probably in Coney Island, but
So
Papa wasn't around in Coney Island. He even says he didn't go to Coney Island,
exactly.
so it could have been something that he never saw.
No, Danny Boy never left
It's
Bushwick.
okay.
He said it himself. He never left Bushwick ever.
Yeah. But anyways,
Let's move on to this
Inspired
mess.
by battle dances and performed like a showdown. Those who honed in on a more aggressive component called these elaborate dances disses burning. The provocative style became popular amongst feuding New York City gangs. All right, so
It's true. Yeah.
here you.
yeah, but the one thing that I have to say is that it makes it sound like these gangs were rocking against each other. That's what it sounds like. It's not what he said, but it sounds like that's what he's saying, but that's not the case. The outlaw gangs rocked amongst each other in the gangs, in their own clubhouses.
And there was no.
The only time they rocked against other rival gangs was to start a rumble.
And then they rocked one at a time. There was no rocking face to face because it would have never worked. So it was one at a time.
Right. So that's a big difference between the outlaw burning and the go off burning. Because the go off
like the
burning was
right?
dancing
That's
against the, was just dancing. Huh? What you said?
What do you refer to the go off burning? That's the Bronx, the where B-boying came from, right? The go off.
Yeah. It's basically a stand-up dance that they did a lot of theatrics. They told a lot of stories and a lot of comedy in their dance, and they incorporated floor moves and the break, not necessarily floor moves on the break, but more like your best move, which oftentimes was a floor move. You know what I'm saying? But it was more about doing your best move.
Yo,
you know what I'm
saying? If you influence something, right? Say I make something, right? And I'm influenced by you, right? Do I have to give you credit? You didn't put the elbow grease in. You didn't make it what it is today. Why should I give you credit just because I got inspired by you? When I break, I get inspired by a chair. I get inspired by cars. I get inspired by
like I said, it's a closed-minded perspective.
So should I say
it's an entitlement perspective.
So should I say, hey, this cat that inspired a footwork pattern that I do, I owe him the credit to my style, that cat or that animal or that object. It don't make sense. Everybody's inspired by everything, right? God was
exactly.
Jesus was inspired by other. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to be inspired.
But it's all about the credit. It's all about credit with them. And why is it about credit? It's because to have the credit means that they own it. And the truth is, they don't own hip hop just because they're black. They don't own it. Hip hop was created predominantly by black people and is owned by the people who put the most work into it. Those are the people who own it. Not just because you're black then all of a
It
sudden
sucks.
you own hip
It sucks
hop.
to even like however you see it. It sounds like racist on every part. You know what I mean? And they make us
Yeah.
they make us do this. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like it's really harmful to this culture, man, that was created, and it really goes against the whole reason the culture was created. Like it goes against.
Yeah.
I don't know if they really understand like what it is. Like I used to be Zulu and and all that stuff. I had to read everything. You know what I mean? Got all the knowledge from there. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
when you're a Zulu, everything like that you read. You know what I mean? It goes against everything that what hip hop is supposed to be about, right?
Right. Peace, love, unity, and having fun. Where is race in peace, love, unity, and having fun?
It don't exist. It's just
But
race.
But anyways,
race is the reason why they created hip hop, to get away from that shit. It was racist. They had to create these gangs because they were getting their butts beat by Italians, by white people, by Irish. It was racist. So they created hip hop as a safe zone. Now that safe zone has become racist.
All right, let's keep going.
See the correlation or the link between, or the connection between so-called burning and rocking. And what you're going to discover basically is the same thing. All right. So
he's trying to say that the go-off dance and the rock dance and the outlaw burning, they're all the same thing.
It's dumb. They're all conceived in different times. The outlaw burning is way before the go-off. Like way before
the outlaw burning is first, period. Then the rock dance, and then the go-off. You know what I'm saying? And they do have similarities, right? And it's important to make that distinction. Yes, there are threads that go through them, but they also have distinctive differences. And that's something those are some of the things that someone from the outside is not going to understand. If you don't dance at all, especially if you don't dance rock, you're not a b-boy, you're never going to understand what the difference is.
Rock is all Latin moves.
Not all.
But the rhythm of the rock.
It was a lot of it. It was a culmination. It was a fusion.
No, but the rhythm of the rock, it's not, because like breaks, right? The way you break is not the way you rock.
Yeah.
The way you break is not the way you rock. Rock is slow and smooth and precise. Breaking is it's spontaneous. It's total opposite.
Right.
Total opposite.
Like, here's what they have in common, right? And they have this rock funk playlist, and that's what combines all of these styles together. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they're related, but not the same.
Exactly.
And they're not performed differently. And like I said before, the difference is also in the foundation of the dance itself. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So he's saying they're basically the same thing. Not really.
needless to say, I have evidence that Charlie Rock denies that these are his words, or at least his words were taken out of context. Let me explain.
So evidence don't come from third party, first of all.
It's taken from
You can't third party evidence, bro.
What you said?
You can't. His evidence is a third party. It's somebody else saying, yeah, Charlie said this.
Yeah,
it's not
so
Charlie
stupid.
himself.
It's like hearsay of hearsay. And you know what else he said? He said that Dr. Cologne's based his whole argument that Latinos created rocking based on this one little article.
This guy has
Nobody knows
problems,
about this
bro.
article. This is a well-known fact that everybody knows. Anybody you talk to can tell you. It has nothing to do with this little article. It's just an article.
Exactly.
And in the article, you know, Charlie Rock affirms what everybody else is affirming, even on other videos. Like Dr. Cologne already did a response, and he basically showed the video where Charlie Rock is saying the same thing, that basically, you know, the rock was first, was a precursor to the burning.
Yeah.
I mean, the breakdown, the
Charlie's
B-boy.
really like Charlie Rock's really the only person that's really like notable, you know, like telling like not really like, you know what I mean, making it about him. Charlie really like when I like his shit sounds genuine, you know what I mean, when he talks.
Yeah.
It don't sound like he's
You
making it
gotta,
racist. Like
right, like he's got an agenda.
he's trying not to. Like
Right,
he chooses his words carefully. You know what I mean? He's trying not to make it like. But then he's also a person that he left the Bronx. A lot of people didn't leave the Bronx.
Now here's an
Traveled.
interesting thing when he on the interview when he says, you know, the burning predates b-boying, and he says the burning what you would call rocking. When he says that, not saying that they were identically similar, but the fact that they were both precursors to b-boying, and they were similar because of the music, you know, and they were also similar because they was both battle dance to the funk rock playlist. You know what I'm saying? So in a lot of ways, yes, they're similar, but in other ways, they're different. You know what I'm saying? And there's nuances to it, like there's different foundation to it. So, you know, in the sense that rock and go off are precursors to the b-boy, that is true.
Yep.
They are both precursors. That is true, but they're not one in the same style.
Yep. And hip hop, bro. Hip hop did come after because what is hip hop? Hip hop has to do with rap music. Rap music wasn't developed till later on. It was just MCing. It was just words. When it became music, that was later on. So,
right.
So if you take out rap music,
industry recognized until the 90s. The term hip hop was not industry recognized till the 90s.
Now, if you take out rap music, you don't got hip hop, right? If you take out rap music out of rock, you still got rock.
Yeah.
If you exclude MCing out of rock, it don't matter. Rock's still gonna be rock. Hip hop to be hip hop, you need rap or MC.
Right.
Without
why
5 elements make hip hop. 1 element makes rock.
That's why rock is the precursor. It's not breaking. Rock is not even though some people say use it interchangeably because they don't understand the difference in generation and the style, you know, and the evolution. You know, the rock is a precursor to the breaking, floor rocking. There's first rock and then it's floor rocking came later.
These two styles created what we know breaking today.
Yes.
Puerto Rican rock style and the African American go-off style. These are the correct terms, right? We got the Puerto Rican rock style, burning style, or however you want to say it. Then you got the African American go-off style. The go-off part is the 1, 2, 3, and then you go off, right?
The go-off had no foundation to it.
No.
It wasn't until the rockers added rock foundation to the go-off, to the floor moves, that it became breaking as we know it.
Exactly.
And that's when it became a long-lasting art form. When the rockers added foundation to the go off.
Yes. So if you didn't have if it was just the go off alone and it wasn't the rock, right? Then you wouldn't really have breaking for what it is.
Yeah, because look at their moves, their power moves was sitting on the floor and act like you're eating potato chips. Not to,
Exactly.
not to diss the go off. You know what I'm saying? The go off was dope. You know what I'm saying? It was a creative, amazing idea, and it was a dope movement. You know what I'm saying? And it was a lost art. But the point is that there was no foundation to it. It was just whatever it was whatever you felt like doing to diss the other guy. It was just the idea of dissing him on doing your best diss moves on the break part.
And check,
that was all it was.
Who is one of the best, nastiest b-boys, right, of all time? That, like, let's say Kamal, right? If you Kamal's one of the greats, right? He has the go off. You know what I mean? He has that whole like. So when you bust out Kamal, when Kamal was influenced by Easy Rock, a white boy from my city, Orange County, he was influenced by a guy from California to break.
Right.
You see? So what we're gonna say? Oh, Kamal started breaking because a white guy? No, he was influenced by Easy Rock. That don't mean he started breaking because of Easy Rock, but it influenced him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Says it himself.
It's a big distinction between being influenced and taking the credit and ownership of something.
Exactly.
Channel, formerly Microwave TV. And you're going to hear the host talk about this article and what Charlie Rock had to say about it. Now, I'm willing to believe what this brother's saying. Why? Because he always had access to Charlie Rock. So
how do we know? Who is this guy?
Denying saying this, I'm willing to believe it.
Huh?
How do we know he had access to Charlie Rock always? Who is this guy? I've never heard of him in my life.
Who, the guy talking or the guy he's about to talk?
The guy that talks, that says he talks for Charlie Rock.
Oh, he's just a YouTuber.
Exactly. He's just a guy, and he's YouTubing, and he's saying, "Oh no, I talked to Charlie Rock," and Charlie Rock said this. I can be like, "Yo, I talked to this."
He says Dr. Colon bases a whole argument off of this one interview, which is completely asinine.
Now, if Colon has an issue with this explanation, then what he needs to do is contact Charlie Rock and interview him yourself. So let me play that.
Why don't you interview Charlie Rock yourself instead of stealing people's footage, yo?
I do crickets. We still waiting for that report. Right. But that was the big issue. Yeah, he trying to point that out about 76, 77, what you said. Right. But Rock said he officially both had started in 77. I mean, that's like real insignificant and small. But listen, one thing I want to say to that guy, right? Because I've seen him do it, right? The article that he referred to with Charlie Rock, Charlie Rock said that's a mix-up of his words.
Why did he talk about Rocksteady, though? Rocksteady's not the first Puerto Rican crew. Rocksteady came after everything. That's what I'm saying. You know he's bullshit already. The reason to say that top rocking or whatever the Latinos were doing in the 60s back to b-boying, and I've seen you refer to that. That's a false article. Charlie Rock did not say that. They mixed his words around to make it look like it.
First of all, he said that Charlie Rock said top rock led to b-boying. That's not what Charlie Rock said. You know what I'm saying? Top rock is a part of down rocking.
Yeah, top rock came later. The top rock didn't even exist.
Top rock is a part of floor rocking. It's the intro to your floor moves.
The top rock three steps in the drop. Yeah. This is like the top. What
top
rock is today?
It
works again. Try it again. Get my man Cooks on here.